The moment Amanda stormed into my office, the air seemed to sizzle with tension. Her designer heels clicked sharply against the hardwood floor, each step echoing with indignation. Her voice cut through the room like a battle cry, accusatory and unrelenting. This business belonged to my mother. You stole everything from her. Behind her, a man in a charcoal suit clutched a briefcase as if it were a lifeline. Every inch the image of a polished corporate lawyer, calm, precise, intimidating. I leaned back in my chair, letting the moment settle. Time to introduce myself properly. I'm Isabella Martinez, 42 years old. For the past 15 years, I've taken Martinez Organics from a modest farmer's market stall to a globally recognized, multi-million-dollar organic beauty empire. And now my stepsister was here, armed with a lawyer trying to claim it all. The man cleared his throat and set the briefcase down with deliberate authority. Mrs. Martinez, he began, his tone dripping with assumed superiority, we have documents indicating that the original concepts and formulations for your brand were developed by one Margaret Wilson, my client's late mother. We'd like to discuss options for returning ownership to its rightful heirs. I raised a hand before he could continue. Hold on. There's something you both need to see. I kept my voice calm though inside a storm raged. 15 years of slights, insults, and disrespect from Margaret surged through me. Amanda scoffed, folding her arms, her hair tossed over her shoulder like a weapon. What could you possibly show us? She sneered. Mom told me everything before she died. How you stole her journal. How you used her recipes to build a brand that should have been hers. I didn't answer. Instead, I turned my laptop toward them and hit play on a secure video file. One I'd saved for a day exactly like this. The grainy footage filled the screen, me years younger, sitting across from Margaret in a tiny rented office. This was long before our first real HQ, before shelves and press mentions, before Oprah. $5,000, I said in the video, sliding a folder toward her. That's all I'm asking. The farmer's market sales prove it. People love the products. Margaret glanced at it, then tossed it aside. Isabella dear, her voice unmistakably cold. This is worthless. Natural beauty products? Everyone knows you need chemicals to make real cosmetics. You're chasing fantasies. Amanda flinched. Her mother's voice, once softened by memory, was undeniable. I pressed play on the next moment. I pleaded with her. These are your mother's recipes. You don't want to be part of building something meaningful from them? Margaret laughed. Those dusty old scraps? She snapped. They're just folk nonsense. If you want to waste your time, be my guest. I want no part in it. Then came the clincher. Margaret signing a document on camera. Yes, you can use them. Honestly, I'd be embarrassed to be associated with this experiment. Just don't expect my money. I paused the footage. Silence thickened the room. That, I said, motioning toward my desk, is a notarized legal release. She relinquished any claim years ago. Would you like to see it? Amanda's face flushed crimson. I was just having a bad day. You twisted things, she stammered. I opened another folder, letting the pages fall just loud enough to punctuate my point. Yearly documentation, photos, emails, witness statements, all proving her mother mocked my work, dismissed it, and made it clear to everyone that I was playing with leaves and oils instead of earning a real living. I continued building this empire, I said, voice steady, right up until last year when suddenly Margaret wanted in. She offered $2 million for a 10% stake. I declined. And yes, I recorded that meeting too. Would you like to watch her try to rewrite the past? Claim she always believed in me. Amanda's voice cracked. Why did you keep all of this? Because your mother taught me a lesson, I said, leaning back. The only person you can rely on is yourself. I documented everything because I knew one day someone would try this. Her lawyer whispered urgently to her, but I didn't flinch. She said she never meant any of that, Amanda said desperately. I raised an eyebrow. She said a lot of things. I can prove what she actually did. I nodded toward the door. Unless you want these videos shared with every media outlet dying to profile Martinez Organics, I suggest you leave. The lawyer didn't hesitate. He practically dragged Amanda out. I sat back, staring at the closed door, heart pounding, not from fear but from satisfaction. I grabbed my phone and called my attorney. This wouldn't be the last confrontation, but I was ready. I had always been ready. Margaret never understood the true value of those old handwritten formulas. She couldn't see what I did. Not just potential but legacy, innovation, and healing. She mocked every careful step until the results were shiny enough to claim as her own. Here's the truth. Building something from nothing isn't about chasing wealth. It's about believing in your vision when no one else does, and keeping detailed proof when they try to steal it. The next morning, I walked into my office to find my phone blowing up. "Your stepsister's gone viral," Sophia, my PR manager, said, sliding a thick folder across my desk. "She's spinning a very different story about yesterday." I scanned Amanda's social media posts. Filtered photos, melodramatic statements, bold headlines. My mom created Martinez Organics. Her legacy was stolen. Distant relatives I hadn't heard from in years were suddenly resharing her posts, accusing me of writing Margaret out of history. All nonsense. "Respond," Sophia asked, tablet in hand. "Not yet," I said. "Let's see how deep she digs the hole herself." By lunchtime, Amanda was on local TV crying, claiming I'd stolen our mother's work, playing the role of the grieving daughter fulfilling a supposed dying wish. Then my father texted, "Isabella, can't you give Amanda something for family peace?" The words hit like a slap. I replied immediately, "Like when you asked me to give Amanda my college fund for family peace. Or when Margaret convinced you to put the house in her name for family peace." He didn't answer. I opened the TV station's website and uploaded a detailed file to their legal department. Margaret signed releases, video proof, formal defamation warnings. Within the hour they had it all. Then my assistant burst in. "Miss Martinez, you need to see the flagship store cameras." I pulled up the feed. Amanda and 3 relatives were outside, holding signs shouting at customers, "Family secrets. Stolen legacy." If they wanted a spotlight, I would give them one. "Sophia," I said into the intercom, "call that documentary crew, the ones who've been asking to cover our story. Everything. Now." Hours later, cameras rolled. I sat across from a respected filmmaker, documents and journals spread on the table. I held up a worn book. "This belonged to my birth mother," I said softly. "She passed when I was 12 and taught me about healing plants and natural remedies. When my father remarried Margaret, I thought it would be wonderful. She had her own grandmother's formulas. I asked her to help me blend them with my mom's, but she laughed. Said it was all junk. She gave them to me in writing because she thought it was a waste of time." "And now?" the filmmaker asked. "Now those same formulas form the foundation of our best-selling line. Updated, refined, improved," I said, a quiet smile on my face. "Every claim Amanda has made, I can disprove with solid evidence because I documented every step." That night, as the crew packed up, my phone buzzed again. "Amanda, you really think your records make you clever? What about Mom's memory? What about family?" I stared at the screen for a long moment, then typed back. "Mom's memory deserves honesty, not reinvention. And I've got the receipts. Margaret's memory is preserved perfectly in the videos I kept. Want me to share them publicly? Let everyone see who she really was." The response came instantly. "You wouldn't dare." But she knew I would. I had dared to believe in myself when no one else did. I had dared to build something from nothing, and protect it every step of the way. Soon my phone buzzed again. This time from the station's legal department. They were pulling Amanda's interview and issuing an air retraction. The evidence I'd sent was damning. I looked out my office window at the protesters still holding their signs below. They were learning what real legacy meant. Not just recipes in a book, but the courage to believe in them, the determination to prove your worth, and the wisdom to document every step of the journey. Margaret had taught me the final lesson after all, just not in the way she had intended. Sometimes the best teachers are the ones who show you exactly what not to do. 3 weeks later, the documentary aired. I watched it alone in my office, a cup of herbal tea, one of my mother's original recipes, growing cold on my desk. They had done a beautiful job telling the story. The contrast between my humble farmer's market beginnings and the empire we had built was striking. But what cut the deepest were the old security videos, showing Margaret's constant dismissal of the business. There she was 10 years ago, walking past my first little shop and scoffing at it. Another clip 7 years ago, mocking our natural beauty products. When is Isabella going to grow up and get a proper job? She sneered. And finally, just 2 years ago, her attempt to buy in. Darling, I always knew you had potential. Let's make this a true family business. The moment the credits ended, my phone buzzed relentlessly. First came a text from Amanda. You've destroyed Mom's reputation. I hope you're happy. I ignored it. Instead, I opened an email from my father. Isabella, I watched the documentary. I don't know what to say except, I'm sorry. I should have supported you. I should have seen what Margaret was doing. Can we talk? Before I could reply, my assistant buzzed in. Miss Martinez, your stepmother's sister is here. She insists on speaking with you. Curiosity got the better of me. Aunt Helen entered, looking older but genuine, a hint of remorse on her face. She held an old leather-bound book in her hands. I found this while cleaning out Margaret's things, she said, placing it on my desk. It was our grandmother's original recipe book, the one Margaret had claimed I stole. Carefully I opened it. Neat handwriting filled the pages with detailed instructions for herbal remedies and beauty preparations. But what caught my eye were the notes in the margins, written in a different hand. Those are Margaret's notes, Helen explained. Before she married your father, she tried for years to make these recipes work to start a business, but she failed. She couldn't modernize them or make them appealing to today's market. I looked up, realization dawning. That explained her bitterness toward my success. Helen nodded, tears in her eyes. She couldn't handle seeing you succeed where she failed. But watching that documentary, seeing how you built everything from scratch and improved the formulas while honoring their origins, our grandmother would have been proud. After Helen left, I picked up my phone and typed a message to Amanda. The flagship store has a display case at the entrance. I'd like to put your great-grandmother's original recipe book there, with a plaque honoring her contribution to natural beauty traditions. Not because you demanded it, but because it's the right thing to do. Her legacy lives on in every product we make. Alongside my mother's recipes, my innovations, and 15 years of hard work. I sent it and then messaged my father. Coffee next week. Just us. His reply came immediately. Name the time and place. A week later, we installed the display case. The old recipe book was open to the Calendula infusion recipe, the same one I had used in my very first product. Next to it sat my mother's journal, open to her Ito formula. A simple plaque honored the wisdom of those who had come before, even as we blazed new trails forward. That evening, as I left the office, I found an envelope on my desk. Inside was a letter from Margaret, dated just before her death. Isabella, by the time you read this, Amanda will have made her move to claim the business. I put her up to it, my final act of bitterness. But the truth is, you succeeded where I failed. You took those old recipes and turned them into something remarkable. I was too proud to admit it in life, but at least I can write it down. In the end, the business is yours. You earned it, Isabella. I carefully filed the letter away. The truth had finally come out, and no bitterness could undo what I had built. As I turned off the lights in my office, I caught my reflection in the window. The city lights sparkled behind me, and somewhere out there my birth mother, was smiling. Her daughter had taken her lessons in natural healing and built an empire, helping millions feel beautiful, the natural way. The legacy wasn't in the recipes or formulas alone. It was in the determination to believe in something when everyone else doubted, and the wisdom to document every step of the journey, just in case.